Here we go. Welcome to this week's episode of Guardians and Gladiators. I'm your host, Lauzie, and always with me is the fun guy, D. How are ya?
Fun guy. What am I, a mushroom? I'm good, Lauzie. How are you? Other than freezing cold. What a cold weekend, eh?
Oh, it was. I'm doing good.
Good. Excited about this week's episode. Oh, go ahead.
Just started to get my legs feeling back again. Did a 10K run through Springbank walk. Did a 10K run through Springbank Park on Friday afternoon.
With no training or anything, just decided I'm gonna do 10K.
It was me and my VON worker.
Yeah,
did it. So he made me do it.
Nice. Was it like a run walk kind of thing?
It was just walk.
Just walk, yeah.
Yeah, started at Storybook Gardens and went all the way to the Terry Fox Tunnel.
Yeah,
and back.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Oh yeah.
You're a little sore the next day?
It was yesterday.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we got another great show for our listeners this week. Again, another great athlete that we're going to speak with. Cameron O'Connor is joining us this week. And then we're going to move on to somebody who, I won't call him the father of Special Olympics because that's not fair. Maybe the grandfather? I'm just kidding. We're lucky to be joined this week by Bill Mills, who has been involved with not only Special Olympics in London, but Special Olympics in Ontario. And we're going to get some great insight from him as to, what this organization was like in the early days, right up to what we're like now and how far we've come. So I'm excited to hear that because I love hearing how far this organization has progressed and everything that it's done, not only locally, but provincially and of course, internationally, like we both know, right?
Oh yeah. Like me starting back in 2004, like having all these guests that knows what happened before then and like at the beginning is good to learn more about Special Olympics every year. And yeah,
for sure. I mean, what was it they say that you appreciate where you are when you know where you came from, right? And finding out what this organization was like back in the early days and to where it is now, it makes you really appreciate everything that people like Bill Mills have done in order to get it to where it is today. So looking forward to chatting with Bill, and it'll be another fun show. So that being said, let's take a quick break and we will be right back after this.
Welcome back to Guardians and Gladiators, folks. And now we're here with our first guest. He's a Special Olympic athlete. Welcome to the show, Cameron O'Connor. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
Hi, Cameron.
Great.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
So Cameron, when did you start Special Olympics?
A long time ago.
What sport did you start with?
Soccer, floor hockey, baseball.
Nice.
Wow. And do you do any other sports now, Cameron, or do you still just do those three?
I do basketball.
Basketball? Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. So, let's see. Have you been to any of the provincial games or?
Yes, I went to soccer.
Nice.
Where was that, Cameron? Where did you go to the provincial games?
In Peel.
In Peel? Oh, That sounds like fun. Were you there for the opening ceremonies?
Yeah.
Yeah? Was that fun?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I think Lauzie and I probably agree. That's one of our favorite times of any of the games is the opening ceremonies, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I like it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, you get that.
No matter what.
Go ahead.
At any games, the opening ceremonies are the best things.
Yeah. What do you remember about the opening ceremonies, Cameron?
Was I think a lot of stuff. Can't remember.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening during them, isn't there?
Yeah.
Some music. There was music at those ones in Peel, wasn't there? Yeah, get to
Yes,
dance a
and
little bit.
yeah, and the guest speaker was there too.
Yeah, do you remember who the guest speaker was?
I think Don Cherry.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Yeah.
And do you remember the torch coming in to start the games off?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my personal favorite, but I'm a little bit biased. That's all. But I really like running in. But I'll tell you, going through all you athletes and high fiving everybody as we came in with the torch, that
Yeah.
is the best time of any torch runner's life is when they come in there and they get to high five all the athletes. We love doing that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so fun. So did you stay down there for a couple of days? Did you stay in a hotel?
Yeah. 3 nights. I think.
3 nights with all of your teammates?
Yeah.
How much fun was that?
It's fun.
Yeah. Very nice. And did you get to like eat together and
Yeah.
was there a pool in the hotel?
No.
No, not in that one. Sometimes everybody goes in the pool, but you get to hang out with your friends and your teammates for a few days. Very
Yeah.
nice. And how did you do in the matches?
Really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good. Excellent. Good. So Cameron, all of this stuff that's happening right now with COVID and we have to close down the sports and you can't go play. I'm going to tell you, what if you had a magic wish that came out and someone came up to you and said, "Okay, Cameron, here it is. We are going to, for you, we are going to make all of this go away. No more COVID, no more masks, no more lockdowns. What would you do tomorrow? If we got rid of all of this today, what would you do tomorrow?"
See my grandpa play sports and see my friends.
Wow, those are three
Right.
great answers, eh,
Oh
Lauzie?
yeah. Yeah. I would just go back to work.
Nice. Now you say see your grandpa. Where is your grandpa that you can't see him right now?
Hospital.
Is he? Oh, that's a shame. So do you still get to speak to him like this on a Zoom chat or anything like that?
On a phone call.
Phone calls? Wow, that's nice. At least we get to do that. But I'll bet you it'd be great to be able to go see him again, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Nice. And what was the other thing? See your grandpa. Play sports? Was that
Yeah.
one of the other ones? And which sport would you pick if you got to pick one of them? Which one would you choose to do tomorrow?
Probably soccer.
Soccer? It'd be cold out though, wouldn't it?
I know. Inside soccer.
Yeah, indoor soccer. That's right. Good. And then the last one was see your friends.
Yes.
Yeah. What would you do with your friends if you got to see them tomorrow?
Hang out, play sports.
Nice. Now,
Yeah.
is that one of the best things about Special Olympics or all the friends that you get to make?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have lots of friends through your different sports?
Yes.
Nice. Nice. So have you done any other kind of Zoom chats for the last year or so with any of your teammates or any of the different things that happen? Any other Zoom meetings with people?
I do soccer Zoom
Do you? Do you do them each week?
every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday. Nice. I heard about them. Is that is Shirley look after those?
Yes.
Yes, I heard about those. And what kind of things do you do on your Zoom chats?
We do a workout. We play dance a little bit.
Nice. Good. Do you kick the ball around inside the house?
No.
Probably get to do that once or twice. You break a few things, and mom would be
Yeah.
saying, "That's it, all done."
So after with all this COVID going on, how are you keeping active?
Walking, do exercises, physio.
Nice. Now, do you have a
It's good.
dog or anything that you can walk?
Yeah, my mom does that.
Yeah. Oh, your mom walks the dog. Yeah. Do you help out in other ways with the dog, like maybe cleaning up after the dog, or
Yeah,
yeah?
a lot of that.
Ah, that's funny. That's funny. So, Cameron, you have a little bit of a different history, don't you? Where were you born?
South Korea.
South Korea. That's amazing. And how old were you when you came to Canada?
5 months.
5 months old.
Wow.
Wow. And have you been able to to learn anything about your background in South Korea or the history of there?
I saw my birth mom.
Yeah, you have. Wow. And does
Wow.
your birth mom still live in South Korea?
Yes.
Yes. And you're able to communicate with her
Sometime.
sometimes, but you have met her before?
Yes.
That would be exciting, eh? Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's awesome.
Very interesting. Good. Well, Cameron, we really hope that things clear up. I'm afraid I don't have that magic spell that I can make it all disappear. If I did, I am sure I would make a lot of
Yeah.
people happy. And maybe I would have
It's
to
not
charge a
that
little bit of
powerful.
money for it, because I think I could probably get a little bit of money for something like that, wouldn't I? But we don't have
Yeah.
it, but we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We're all going to do what we can to stay safe and hope that we can help this all to go away, because I know there's nothing you'd like better than to see your grandpa and then get out with all your friends and play your sports again, right?
Yeah.
Great.
So Cameron, as Special Olympic athletes that we are, we follow an oath. Could you tell me that oath?
Let me win. If you cannot win, let me brave in attempt.
Awesome. So can you tell us when you were brave in the attempt?
I never give up.
Very good. And this is a
That's
good
a
time
great
to be like
answer.
that, isn't it? With all of the things that seem like they're bad right now, you never give up and you always look at the positive stuff, right, Cameron?
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, Cameron, we're really happy you joined us today. It was great to hear, what you would like us to do, but it's great to hear about your experience at the provincials and the opening ceremonies and about your background. And it's been a lot of fun having you here today. So thanks very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Cameron.
Thank you.
Okay. And Lauzie and I will be right back with our next guest right after this.
And welcome back to Guardians and Gladiators. Well, that was a great guest that we had of Cameron O'Connor being our athlete this week. Now we go to our next guest. He's been with Special Olympics. He probably built the first building for Special Olympics somewhere down the road. Ladies and folks, welcome to the show, Bill Mills.
Hello and welcome, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Bill?
Doing good.
Can't complain. Can't complain.
So, Bill, when did you get started with Special Olympics?
I started with Special Olympics before there was Special Olympics. Seriously, I saw my first floor hockey game in 1970. 71, I think it was. We went down with some volunteers from London and watched. It was the second Special Olympics games down in Toronto at Maple Leaf Gardens. And we were just hanging around and helping out and did some work at one of the fields and had some patients come down from Aurelia from the hospital center there. And we escorted them around for the day kind of thing. And other than that, we were just groupies. And it wasn't until, that experience and doing some other stuff, I started with another buddy doing basketball with community living. That was, as I say, 70 and 71, we did that. And then got me going into Fanshawe College in recreation leadership. And that was going to be my area of studies, is with people with an intellectual disability in sports.
Wow. And as far as, you worked initially but you worked at Special Olympics Ontario at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, from 86 to 90, I was the area coordinator for all of Southwestern Ontario.
Right.
So we'd only started those positions the year before with Marion Colson and Larry Howard up north, each with their jurisdictions, and then Eastern Central Ontario and then Southwestern Ontario. Our job was to coordinate any of the programs that happened to be underway or started in different communities. There were 15 different communities by the end of those 4 years that we'd started. Start up community programs as they're based now, with an executive, with people doing different jobs. The whole idea was, prior to that, if you were in the sport, okay, I did floor hockey up in Palmerston. Well, I coached, I drove the bus, I did the uniforms, you raise the money, you're doing virtually everything as coaches. So you put in a structure so that you have people that will look after those bigger things for you.
Right.
So you can leave the manager to manage, the head coach to head coach, and the coaches to coach. So we put in that strategy with all the community programs. And I think we have about 200 different community programs across Ontario now that function in much the same way.
Mhm. Important to do that, right? Because sometimes if there's too much going on, it can burn a person out, right?
Mhm.
But you also have people who excel in certain areas. I mean, maybe like you say, you have someone who is better as a manager and can organize things. You want them concentrating on that. And then you have your coaches who can concentrate on coaching and not worrying about all the other things that they have to do, right? So
That's right.
I think it helps to keep your volunteers longer that way as well.
Yeah, so you have an entry point for volunteers. So he said, we got the new guy to come in for floor hockey this year. Well, he came in with our level, our C level, and he liked it so much. Now he stays, the extra half an hour to help with the bees because he enjoys it.
Mhm.
But he doesn't have to plan the sessions and what's going on. He just follows suit and helps out where he can. So you have that entry level for people to come in.
Right.
And difficult for if a community says, oh, we're looking for a coordinator. What's that? That's a lot of work. So
Yeah.
usually your management and your executive come from people who are experienced.
Makes sense.
You're looking for a secretary. Well, okay, secretary, you might have those skills from some other job or volunteer work that you have.
Mhm.
So you usually find a spot for everybody. It's been a little difficult over the last 2 years because you have people coming to the volunteer coordinator and what jobs do you have?
Right.
Well, right now we're not doing anything. And then to hope people stick around until you do have something is a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge.
Yeah. And that's going to be a part of coming out of this pandemic that sometimes gets overlooked, right? Is getting people back involved, because you're right. It's not like all of the volunteers have been sitting waiting for 2 years. A lot of them have moved on to different things, and you would have been recruiting new people over the last 2 years. And now you're kind of starting 2 years behind, right? And getting people in. So
Mhm.
it's something that we don't think about when we think of coming out of this and getting back to sports.
Yeah, prior to the return to sport program, we did survey the volunteers to find out exactly that. Like, okay, from the sport managers, contact the managers and see who's still interested in managing. From there, you guys contact the head coaches, see if they're still interested. And then the coaches, are they still going to come back? We have some sports that rely fairly heavily on university students or Fanshawe students who come and go as it is. You'd be lucky to get them for a season,
Right.
maybe 2, and then they're gone. So we had to find those things out before we even started up. And I think we got 7 weeks into floor hockey before this all shut down again.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know somebody on this podcast was pretty miserable for a while there when it shut
Yeah.
down again.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. We did it, we have to follow the rules that Special Olympics puts in place based on Health Canada. And then we have to face the restrictions that the schools put on you, and do it their way, or you have no place to go.
Exactly.
So we did everything correctly and got everything started, and then, okay, now we're shut down again.
Yeah.
So, it's not like we're behind because nobody else is there.
Right.
Nobody else can compete. Stratford never even got their floor hockey off the ground because of their schools. There's a lot of communities I'm sure aren't doing anything or very, very little. So we've got a leg up on those, but it doesn't matter. We won't be doing any competitions this year.
No.
The national summer games were postponed. The World Winter Games were postponed. We don't know how far and deep this is going to go.
Right.
Things are just being postponed. We looked at, this is why we're doing more Zooms. This is why we're keeping in touch with people, because we know that the athletes and volunteers like the socialization, like seeing your buddies. Like Chris can see his buddy, he's just in the same building. But
Yeah.
for all the other guys, you don't get a chance other than at floor hockey. And it's not like, when you guys go, your team going to floor hockey, you're not learning an awful lot more skills
No.
because you're at the highest level there is. You can't scrimmage and you're not going to any tournaments.
Nope.
So a lot of it is just, hey, we're here and we got to do something.
Yeah.
And we're having fun doing it. You get a little bored, but you're fine. You're having fun.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
right. So as the years that I know you, you're quite a traveler. How many World Games have you been to?
18. 18, both
Yes.
summer and winter.
And
I
they
missed
hold
the-
them every 4 years. So 18 times, I'm trying to figure your age out, Bill. 18 times 4. No, I'm just kidding.
The first one we went to is in Brockport, New York. Remember Haycock and his wife and Marion Colson at the time, and there was 5 of us. I think we drove over to Rochester, New York. There's a city you don't walk the streets at night, but anyway, it was a small really affair. There's only like 10,000 people in the stands. Muhammad Ali was there. A lot of the TV and movie stars of the day were there. The funniest part was when they run the torch in, they had athletes or the world celebrities stationed around the track, but they didn't tell the runner who came in with the torch that he was supposed to pick them up as he ran by them.
Oh.
So he just ran by and everybody had to run around with their suits on. There's Muhammad Ali trying to catch up to the guy with the torch. They made it up to the cauldron just before he lit it, so they were there for the picture. But it's been a learning curve. You go from something like that, and then in '83 in Louisiana was 75,000 people.
Wow.
And it's such a growing sport. It is the world's fastest growing amateur sport. The competitions at a world level, World Summer Games are the biggest athletic sports event in the world at any given year. There's a lot. We enjoy going to them because we're groupies, or I've been there as a referee. I've gone as a head coach for cross-country ski one time. I've gone as a photographer, gone as a volunteer, gone as the World Games. And when they were in Toronto, I was the sport coordinator, sport convener for floor hockey. We had 2,000 athletes and 1,000 of them were just in floor hockey alone. And that was, Chris, we had one building, the Better Living Center at the CNE, had 8 pads, had the dressing rooms, had the meal services, VIP services, family services, practice area, absolutely everything under one roof. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Good setup, yeah.
Yeah, six days of competition, and after 6 days, after the last game was done, the last game, we were 3 minutes overtime.
Wow.
265 games, and we were 3 minutes late.
Jeez,
So,
that's
it's
some serious logistics there.
Yeah, I think they knew going in that we can do this. This is nothing new for us to do.
Yeah.
And we've seen great shows and bad shows all the way along the line. So
Did anything stick in your mind as far as, like, let's just stick with opening ceremonies? Which one over all of them sticks in your mind as the best?
Oh gosh. Abu Dhabi, that was amazing. That was amazing ceremony. Of course, they had the money to do it.
Right.
Athens in 2011. I do remember sitting on a hard marble seat for 6 hours. Seeing Stevie Wonder in person was quite an event.
Yeah.
The march-in is always the best, but the best march-in, the best opening ceremonies from a Canadian point of view is sitting in the Bell Center and watching the last team come in, and that's Canada.
Right. Yeah, that's cool.
You always wait for the last team, the host team, and this is the only time it's been Canada.
Yeah.
It's just
that's a great feeling.
Great feeling. Yeah.
Very cool.
That's awesome. What, as like a volunteer in coaching, out of that, what is do you have a favorite moment or memory?
Well, seeing Sarah Albers win a gold medal in Athens, one of our London, seeing Jamie and Scott playing at the World Games level, that was great. And seeing any of our London athletes at that world level or national level or provincial level, it's always great to follow them and see them and to know that the main thrust of our whole program is getting as many people at the local level involved doing something.
Right.
And yes, we're going to have always people at invitational games and provincial games, and the national games is great. World Games is kind of the cherry on the top, but it's not what we strive for. We have 400 plus athletes at the local level, but we could have 1,000. but we don't have enough facilities. We don't have enough coaching to do that. Time, you know,
Right.
there's 22 sports. We're not doing them all. We're doing 18 of them.
Mhm.
So it's just one of those things that, yes, some communities in the States will have all 20 different sports and spread it around, and they may even limit athletes. You know, we have some guys and girls that are doing 6 sports in a year.
Mhm.
So we do what we can. When London started in '86, there were only 6 registered athletes. They registered just 6 bowlers so they could
Wow.
bowl over in Woodstock or in St. Thomas, as before Special Olympics really got to going as a community program.
Mhm.
But now we're over 400. We're doing
Yeah.
okay.
That's great.
Mhm.
That's great. Now, you mentioned a few different things that in the community that you need, and one thing that you're very familiar with is the actual funds, right, to make all this stuff happen. So I know last week, all 3 of us were fortunate enough to take part in some meetings with the federal government. And I'm assuming, and I don't know this, I should have checked, but I'm assuming that's not your first year that you've been involved in these meetings.
We went the last time it was set up, like 4 years ago.
Right.
Ruth Ann and I, my wife and I, went with Scott Tennant and to Irene Matheson's office and met with her.
Right.
And you know, chatted. We had a great chat with her because she knew my dad quite well. I mean, when she was out electioneering, she'd always stop at his place and chat. And she came to a ceremony we held 8 years ago. He got a medal, another medal. So we had a ceremony. She came to that along with other dignitaries and VIPs and stuff. So, you know, it was a nice connection. And you know, her daughter's doing a fine job from what we know. And I think she's in our corner as far as supporting Special Olympics. And when the talks come about doing that, the whole idea is they've got a personal connection. They've met people from the program.
Right.
Rather than talking to somebody about something you know nothing about and going, I don't know how I'll vote. But you know, we make that personal connection, and that's Special Olympics Canada and Special Olympics Ontario and all the provinces taking that initiative to do that. That's marketing. That's public relations.
Yeah, it's a key thing. I mean, like you mentioned it, and one thing I learned from taking part, and just for any of our listeners that aren't aware, for most of last week, members, there were some Special Olympic athletes, there was volunteers, and then there was staff from Special Olympics all across the country, Canada, including Special Olympics Ontario and other provinces, that took part in a meeting with MPs and senators from the federal government. And the idea was lobbying for funding from the federal budget. The last federal budget, which was for 4 years, and like Bill was just saying, they met with them then and were able to get some significant funding, and that funding is about to end. So of course we would like to get that funding back again for the next budget. And one thing that stuck in my mind, and you just touched on it, is to make that connection with these people. And I'm sure there are a lot of MPs who were involved in these meetings the past week who don't have a connection with Special Olympics. They may have heard of it, but they've never really spoke to somebody. They don't know exactly what it does. And to hear it from an athlete like Lauzie's point of view, or a volunteer like yourself who's been around as long as you have, you know, I think is so important. And that was something, as a staff member involved in that meeting, I was really just facilitating it. But I'm listening and I'm watching the people that are listening to these conversations and seeing that it is touching them. I mean, I was fortunate in my meeting. We actually had Senator Gwen Boniface, who of course was the commissioner with the OPP, was involved in the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police. So very familiar through the torch run with Special Olympics and the athletes. So it was great. But even somebody like that, who's had that involvement before, you could see what listening to the athletes speaking and talking to them makes such a difference. So
exactly. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's invaluable in order to get the support that you want to get, right?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, at the community level, our funding is in good shape. You know, for 2 years we've barely spent a dime because we have nothing to spend it on. Transportation is one of our biggest expenses. Just going to tournaments, you know, you got all these sports and you got to compete and it costs money, but we haven't spent any of that. We haven't bought any uniforms. We got some new equipment for basketball this year, and that was about our biggest expense. You know, we have no staff at the community level. The only fixed cost we have is storage lockers to keep equipment in. And even our phone bill is only $5 a month. So we just, you know, we have supporters that donate to us on a regular basis, community programs that do this. We've made a healthy nest egg over the years, the torch run, polar plunge, things like that we get involved with that just continue on. We've always said, yeah, we've got a surplus and it's nice, but you know, if we didn't get any money for the next 2 years, we could probably get through 2 years only.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we just went through that. We didn't make, you know, we made more money than we spent.
Right.
But we would have, you know, if we'd have been spending at the same rate, yeah, we'd be in trouble, but we're not.
Right.
But that's for another year. You know, next year, this may be all behind us. We're back to spending almost $100,000 a year. So you got to keep in the positive side.
Yeah. And that's another challenge, right? That you may find is getting those people back again that are donating the money, because it's been a couple of years, right? So it's getting that fundraising going again. Yeah.
You got to keep in front of people. Mm-hmm. And like we were going to plan we usually have our walkathon in February. Well, there's usually a target. If you say we're going to have a walkathon to support what? Well, nobody's going to provincial or national or world games. You like to have that target. Okay, we've got 7 athletes going to world games. Mm-hmm. People can fix on that. People give to people.
Right.
And you have a target. We have no target this year, so we'll skip that. Mm-hmm. You know, if we get Bowl-a-thon in April, who knows? You know, Scotiabank's been a great supporter over the years, but you still need a kind of a target. You need to have a need, express a need. Sure. Like say we need 200 more volunteers, and you get 200 people say yes. Well, you got to have a place for them. Yeah. Or you've just wasted their time.
Yeah, for sure.
Slowly but surely, we're keeping pace, and we lead the way.
Good.
Is there when this pandemic is over, where's Special Olympics London? How are we going to go further from this?
Well, one of the things we have talked about at the executive is actually getting somebody to coordinate the social media like Zoom. I've talked to my friend down in Trinidad, and we're talking about doing a Zoom meeting, maybe having like 6 or 7 London athletes, 6 or 7 there, and just getting on and chatting just like we're doing now. You know, what sports do you do? What's the weather like? You got a dog, you got a cat, you got a brother and sister. Just keeping that social thing going. You know, I'm friends on Facebook with a number of different Special Olympics organizations, and you know, it's great to see what the Isle of Man is doing, what's happening in Germany and Italy and things like that. The countries that are getting ready to host the World Games or getting ready to host their national games and their local programs. You get ideas about what's going on, what's still happening out in the world, because other countries they're doing more sports than we're doing now, but their challenges are different than ours. But it's just fun to keep in touch, you know, knowing there's 5 million athletes out there. Mm-hmm. You know, and pretty well, you know, most are going through the same thing we have in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And a lot more people on Zoom. So we think, well, that's one thing we can do, and having more social meetings, you know, coordinating it just a little better, keeping in touch.
Yeah. There definitely are some positives that have come out of the last couple of years, you know, and that is one for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah, no, understanding your challenges and understanding, I guess, what the opportunities are. You know, who knew you could do a drive-through award ceremony? Yeah. Okay, we found that out. You know, cooking programs online and different types of fundraising that communities are doing.
Yeah.
So it's opportunities, there's challenges, but it's still Special Olympics. We're still having a good time, aren't we, Chris?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Okay. Well, Bill, before we let you go, we are heading really, really close to a season that I know both you and my co-host here, Lauzie, really enjoy. And in no better time to speak about it than this weekend where it's been minus double digits around here. And we are heading into polar plunge season. And
Oh
of course, for
boy.
the province of Ontario, we will be going virtual with our polar plunge this year, which is not a surprise to you. You've been involved with this before, and you've been involved in person as well as virtual. So, any little tidbits you want to drop, little breadcrumbs, little hints you want to give us as to what you got planned for this year?
I floated an idea by my buddy the other day, and I just threw it out there, and he's taking it and running with it, thinking that's a great idea.
Good.
I've committed
Good.
myself to something. I can't tell you because it'll make spectacular video.
Can't wait it. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Nope.
What prizes did I get for last year? None. I don't know.
None. What are you talking about?
2020, I was all geared to go, and then the day
Oh, right.
before
Yeah,
the big splash,
yes.
nothing.
They shut us
Oh.
down.
Well, we got 3 of our 4 plunges in this area.
Yeah.
We had Woodstock, St. Thomas, and 2 in London. So maybe we
Yeah.
were just being greedy with 2. But we got 3 of our 4 in. But you're right. Our big one was going to be on the Friday.
One more day.
Yeah, it was a
Come on.
biggie, and it was, of course, the day that the world shut down, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
I got this
I know.
huge box of stuff down in storage. All the stuff we were going to throw into the crowd.
That's
for
right. The
souvenirs.
Knights game and everything that night. It was going to be good. Not
I
only
was
was it gonna be a lot
ready
of
for
fun,
that
but-
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a lot of people excited about that. So
Yeah.
it's disappointing, but we'll bounce back like we always do. Looking forward to seeing not only your plunge, but also Lauzie's plunge. I don't want to hear anything about it. You just keep thinking about it, and you can both surprise me with something
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't leak out what our prizing is this year, because that's going to come out in the next few weeks at our provincial level. And I just can't share that stuff just yet. But we'll make it worth everybody's while. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll have some
We
weekly
got Quebec.
prizes, and we can't wait to see. We had some really inventive plunges last year throughout the province, and we're excited to see what this year brings us. So,
Mhm, mhm.
Bill, we really appreciate you joining us. It's great to get the insight from someone who's been around as long as you. Like you said before, Special Olympics were Special Olympics. So that's a perspective we don't get from talking to just anybody,
Yeah.
And even though Lauzie's been around a long time, not quite that long.
Yeah.
So
No,
Always remember, in Special Olympics, there is no finish line
that's correct.
Yeah.
and no off season.
Nope.
True. True. All right. Well, thanks again,
for
Bill.
the opportunity. This is great. This is
Yeah.
great.
Thanks. We appreciate it. It's great having you on.
Thanks,
Okay.
Bill, for coming.
Okay.
All
See
right.
you guys.
Rosie
Adios.
and I will be right back after this.
And welcome back to Guardians and Gladiators. Well, I gotta tell you, we had 2 fantastic guests this week. One as the athlete of Cameron O'Connor, and telling us his story. What a great story he had. And with Bill Mills telling us a little bit more history about Special Olympics.
Wasn't it great? I loved hearing from Cameron. I love the excitement, in his voice when he was talking about the opening ceremonies, and there was just so much going on. He couldn't even remember the different things and that, but that's what the opening ceremonies are like. They're just exciting, and they get everybody going, and there's music, and there's lights, and there's the torch coming in, and guest speakers, and it's just so much fun. So that was great, listening to Cameron relive that, and share some of his special story with us as well. And it'd be nice if we had that little magic spell we talked about, wouldn't it? Just bring everything back to normal again. I'm
And maybe turn down the temperature.
Yeah. Yeah, we could probably do that too. No, that was good. As you say, it was nice to get a little history lesson from Bill Mills, who was with Special Olympics, as he says, before it was actually Special Olympics. So
He wrote the first page.
And he had to dip his pen in ink to do it, right?
Yeah.
And it was
yeah.
calligraphy, and no, that was a lot of fun. I love listening to Bill talk about it, because you can hear his passion for Special Olympics right from the very beginning, when he started as it sounded like more of a student kind of thing, and saw this as what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And of course, the amount of time and effort that Bill has put in as a volunteer. We're not talking about necessarily a paid employee. Most of Bill's time with Special Olympics is strictly as a volunteer, and I know, and I'm going to give a quick shout out to his wife, Ruth Ann, because they're both in this together. I mean, they give so much of themselves to Special Olympics, not only in this city, but the province. And of course, we've heard him talk about his 18 World Games. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy.
So poor Bill and Ruth Ann, their travel schedule will be up in the air right now. They're waiting to see, are we going to Russia? Are we going to Berlin? Where are we going? The games are canceled or postponed or moved.
Yeah.
But good for him. I mean, it's people like Bill that make Special Olympics what it is, and so great for athletes like yourself, right?
Yep.
Good. Okay. Well, that was another good episode. We're going to wrap things up, and we're going to look forward to next week when we'll be back with some more extra special guests. In the meantime, stay safe, stay warm. We've got some snow coming. Drive safely, get out there and shovel. Don't slip and fall. And you better wear a toque on that head there, mister.
Oh, I know, I will.
All right. Thanks again to everybody for listening. Guardians and Gladiators available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Until next week, have a good week, folks.